Hello everybody and welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sports. And some breaking news, the date has finally been set for RASSIE ERASMUS's hearing with World Rugby after what has been months and months of speculation, of postponement and lack of sort of communication really regarding the entire situation in terms of the RASSIE ERASMUS hearing for misconduct following the video he published after the first British and Irish Lions test, where he went on to question some of the officials' decision-making and released an hour-long video looking at some of the calls made in the first test and asking for clarity regarding the way that the test was officiated. Now, the entire controversy has literally pretty much almost come to an end. We are sitting in October, and speaking about a video that was released in July, and yet we've only now finally had a date set where we can all put this down to bed. And the good news is it will take place before the Springboks end of year tour. Before we look at the date and the people involved and exactly sort of what the process will be, please do smash a like on the video and subscribe to the channel as well. Right, so in terms of the date, World Rugby has set the date for the misconduct hearing to take place over the weekend of the 30th and 31st of October, which is ludicrous. It really is ludicrous. Something which was provisionally sort of set for the end of August, beginning of September, will now take place in literally the last 2 days of October. You know, well, I mean, we're talking almost 3 months later. I mean, it is literally ridiculous. The entire thing has become a bit of a farce. And I think, you know, what can possibly actually happen by the time we get there? You know, we talk about misconduct hearings with players. You know, RJ Smith, for example, being cited for a bite. His hearing took place today. As you know, so when it comes to these player hearings, you know, they take place within the next week and players are sanctioned, fined, etc., etc. Why, in such a situation like this, has it taken, you know, 2-3 months to try and put together what will be a 5 or 6 hour session and a decision will be made? It's actually unbelievable. But at least we do finally have a date. In terms of who will be involved, the official World Rugby press release said that, and I quote here, that it'll have the independent judicial panel chairman, which will be Christopher Quinnan, who will chair the panel alongside Nigel Hampton from New Zealand and Judge Mike Micah from New Zealand as well. They said that following the provision of detailed written submissions and evidence from Erasmus, SA Rugby and World Rugby, a request was received from SA Rugby and Erasmus for an oral hearing, which has been granted. The hearing date, listen to this, this is the part that gets me. The hearing date, set in consultation with the parties, is the earliest possible date, taking into account previous commitments of all parties, participants, and multiple time zones involved. The Independent Disciplinary Committee will publish a full written decision following the completion of the entire proceedings. How can you keep referencing a time zone issue? I mean, it's two people in New Zealand, it's somebody in Ireland, and someone in South Africa. Now, South Africa and Ireland are basically in the same time zone. There's like an hour between them. How can we sit there in the modern age where Zoom calls, where we've got people who are, I mean, people are working for companies that they've never even met people inside them, they've never even touched foot in the countries where their company's headquarters could be and stuff like that, and they're making it work. And now we're sitting here talking about a time difference issue. It is absolutely ludicrous. What will be interesting, however, is that the story that was published earlier this week by Report was saying that regardless of what will happen in terms of the meeting, RASSIE ERASMUS will not appear in person. He will appear virtually. Now, the Springboks are due to fly to France in sort of the middle of October. So in theory, should still be in France in the 30th to 31st of October. In fact, they'll probably be preparing themselves to go over to Wales, probably during that weekend or in the early week ahead of the first test on the 6th of November. So what will be interesting is whether RASSIE ERASMUS travels with the squad and stays in France with them and has the hearing even still virtually, or whether he does in fact go over to Ireland for the hearing itself and then goes and back to the squad depending on what the outcome is. The big news as well is that South Africa has been removed from the red list as of literally a couple of hours ago. As a result, but even if he were to not travel to France, for example, and have the hearings, he could in theory fly over and meet up with the squad immediately without having to worry about quarantine, as long as obviously he's got vaccinations and sorted, which he does. He has confirmed that they all got vaccinated, so he will have his vaccine certificate and stuff like that. So it'll be interesting to sort of see what he does. Does he join up with the squad, or does he let his coaches go and prepare the squad and sort of keep himself away, get himself cleared, and then go and join the squad? You know, it depends. I mean, how confident are they that there won't be a significant sanction? I think the fact that it's gone this long means that they can't sanction. You can't take 3-4 months and then decide, well, this is actually a very serious infringement, because if that was the case, it would have happened sooner. We cannot, and this is a really bad precedent to set from World Rugby. I mean, imagine you're literally now saying that, you could have a major incident before a World Cup, a month before the World Cup, or even during the World Cup, and not have to worry about any hearings or any misconduct, anything until after the World Cup. It's such a bad precedent from World Rugby that it has taken so long to deal with an incident which should have been solved, within the time frame of the British and Irish Lions series. When the British and Irish Lions series finished on what was like the 7th of August, a hearing should have taken place that next week. I think the last game, it was on the 7th of August. In fact, I think it was on the 14th of August, was the final British and Irish Lions game. The hearing should have taken place the following week. It all should have been cleared by the end of August. It is ridiculous that it has taken this long. And we're very interested to see now what World Rugby do, because it's a very dangerous precedent, first of all, in terms of taking this long and the way they've gone about it, this sort of archaic thinking of we have to worry about time zones and how we can get all the parties and participants together. There's 3 people on the panel. It's a 3-person panel. Then it'll be RASSIE, ERASMUS, and probably a lawyer, maybe an SA Rugby participant. There'll be less than 10 people involved in the process from the sounds of it. So how has it taken 3 months to find a time when 10 people can get together? It really should not be that difficult given the so-called severity and significance of the case. It should have been dealt with a long time ago. But the good news is, before the Springboks kick their first ball of the end-of-year tour, this whole issue will be resolved. And RASSIE ERASMUS will either be waterboarding on the side, or else he'll be back in South Africa as a result of a potential stadium ban, which is about as it's about as hectic of a punishment they can go. There was talks. The most extreme punishment could literally be a stripping of the series from the Lions series, but very, very unlikely to happen. I reckon it'll probably be a fine. It'll probably be a mandatory fine. Here we go, which I reckon South Africa would crowdfund within half an hour type thing. Probably a bit of a slap on the wrist, and we can move on. But yeah, unfortunately, we'll have to wait another, sort of 23 days, 3-4 weeks just to get this all sorted, and then we can really sort of move on with our lives, which is very frustrating. But let me know what you think should happen down in the comments below. Smash like on the video as well, and subscribe to the channel. My name is Stephen. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll chat to you soon.